Greetings, YouTube. In D&D and in Pathfinder First Edition, I still haven't gotten around to reading Second yet. The Transmutation School has probably always been my favorite. I love the idea of being able to change your shape. One of the best things about being a druid in my book is the wild shape and the Thousand Faces, I think that's what it's called, ability, which lets you be any kind of humanoid you want to at will, essentially. And when was it third edition had the prestige class that allowed you to become this really powerful shapeshifter. Um, I loved that prestige class. The idea of being a powerful shapeshifter who could be anything you wanted to be at will is very, very attractive to me. But one of the things I don't like about Pathfinder First Edition is the fact that so many, almost all, of the transmutation spells that allow you to change your shape do it for a very short duration. Um, all of them are 1 minute per level. That's not a lot of time. Now, it's a fair amount of time if you're in combat. And I think that's a very narrow way of looking at transmutation magic. It rules out utilitarian abilities for the most part, because lots of those persist over duration. It rules out infiltration for the most part. Yeah, you can do like Mission Impossible style, stuff, but let's be honest, very few game sessions have that kind of structure. Tabletop role-playing games just don't have the rapid cut, choppy editing style that you see in an action film. It just does not translate well to a tabletop environment. So having a really short duration spell precludes your character being able to infiltrate a camp. Example, say you're a 6th level halfling sorcerer and you need to infiltrate a orc camp. Sure, you can turn yourself into an orc for 6 minutes using Alter Self. Awesome. What happens in minute 7? Even if you have the ability to speak orc, and you might, you're still screwed. So a completely legitimate use of that spell, non-combat, you're getting in, gain intelligence, or maybe you're going to spring somebody, maybe combat's going to take place, I'm not sure, is blown. You can't do that. And it also means that you can't do long-term infiltration of an environment. For example, being a bugbear sorcerer who wants to get into a human city and get intelligence on that city's defenses and their political structures and stuff, which is something you need to do over months, maybe even years. You can't do that with a spell that lasts, say if you're 10th level, 10 minutes for each casting. That just doesn't work. And that's a legitimate use of that type of magic. And in fact, there is one example which I think kind of really brings to the fore the absurdity of this, and that is the shark humans. Which is it the Saun? I think that's how you say it. I'm not positive. I don't know if there's a proper pronunciation, but they actually have a subspecies of their species which looks like sea elves. Why? Because that lets them get agents into the enemy to gain intelligence and commit sabotage. They have to breed an entire subspecies or take advantage of a natural mutation, which is even weirder, just so that they can get intelligence on an enemy, because the two species look so dissimilar, even though they are both aquatic um, uh, species. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I was kind of playing with the idea, and how do I get around that? I want longer duration transmutation magic. I want people to be able to stay in a form for longer than a minute per level. Now, you could kind of take it along the lines of invisibility spell. so that the spell lasts a lot longer so long as you don't attack. And that works well for the mission-specific thing, the halfling going into an orc camp, for example. You'd be able to be in there longer than 6 minutes, so long as you aren't attacking. The spell would keep you covered. But that doesn't work for long range, really, months or years at a time. So I thought, okay, well, let's take an existing thing that's in 3.5 and Pathfinder. Again, I don't know about Pathfinder 2nd edition. And that's the meta magic items. Now we know about meta magic feats, and there are rods, which are meta magic feats baked into an item, which you can then use 3 times per day. So you don't have to use a feat if you don't have that feat. And also it allows sorcerers to do it who don't have the feat without bumping up their spell level. So you've got the rod 3 times per day. You get to enhance it with whatever the particular meta magic feat the rod has without bumping up the spell level. Very useful for sorcerer. So okay, let's take that model, a meta magic item, and let's marry it to the long duration shape change times of a druid, which is an hour per level. So instead of having a meta magic feat that just extends any spell, you narrow the scope till it comes down to just transformation spells that have a descriptor of self, or at least their self at the time of casting. Some transmutation spells do both. You can either cast it on yourself or cast it on another. Well, in this case, this particular item would only function when it's cast on yourself. It's a necklace because most things you're going to be turning into have necks. So that seemed to me to make the most sense, having it be a necklace, because most things have necks. And so with this, you put it on, you cast any transmutation spell, and it takes the duration and makes it 1 hour per level of the caster. There are limitations. There are going to be 3 versions of this. The lesser necklace of forms, or lesser, yeah, lesser necklace of forms, I guess would be the way to say it, is for spells 1 through 3, the necklace of forms through 4 through 6, and then the greater necklace of forms through that are 7th and up. So you've got 3 different versions of the necklace. Obviously, the higher ones will cover the full range, and that way you can have this be usable by lower level characters without breaking the system in too badly, in my opinion, because it is independent on spells that caster can cast. So you're guaranteed that the type of creature that the caster is turning into is appropriate for their level. So we're not giving them any ability that they don't already have. We're just extending the range, the duration of the spell. Another limitation is that when the spell is cast, whatever that first form you're in, you're stuck in it until the spell duration is over, or you dismiss it, and cast it again. So again, if you, for example, if you're that halfling, you're an orc, you get into the camp, you pull your mission off, and you want to get out of the camp by going into a river. So you take yourself from an orc form, cast the spell again, turn yourself into a lizard person who can breathe water and swim, slide into the river, and you're gone. And even if you get spotted, the orcs are going to see someone going from an orc to a lizard person into the river, and they escape. They're never going to make that association with a halfling. Great for misdirection. So I like this idea. I think it solves a problem that's always been bugging me. It doesn't break the bank in my book because, again, you're not giving the casters access to any forms they would not have to their appropriate level. You're just letting the spell be longer, and that lets utility really come into fore. You need to move a big thing, turn into an elephant, turn into a dragon, and haul the big thing out, either on land or in the air. Transportation. And transportation is a completely viable way of dealing with things. We already have spells that allow people to go long distances with transmutation magic. Um, you know, direct soaring flight, because it's, you are turning people into birds, but they only can travel. It's all they can do. Well, you're just giving these types of magic things utility and infiltration and sabotage that they didn't have before. Because again, that minutes. Again, great for a Mission Impossible style movie, not so great for tabletop role-playing games. Games just don't move at that pace. So these are the magic items I'm throwing out here, trying to solve a problem I've always seen in the system that I would like to see alleviated. So let's kick the tires at this. Tell me if you think it's completely broken. You have an implementation that you have used in the past. Is this a non-issue for you? Because I love these types of spells. I love the idea of being able to shape change. I just want them to be more useful.